The province of Nova Scotia is offering a reward of up to $150,000 for any information relating to the two siblings who were reported missing last month. 6-year-old Lilly and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan were reported missing from their home on May 2nd in Lansdowne Station in Pictou County. In a brief phone call today, the children's maternal grandmother told Global News the family's focus is on finding Lilly and Jack, and they hope this reward will help. Premier Tim Hughes.
Why are you so sure they're not in the woods?
I have children, I have grandchildren, and I see what kids are like through the woods. There's no reason for any child to wander deep into the woods. There's just not. I think somebody hurt these kids. I think somebody hurt them.
You don't sound very hopeful.
No. Our last day searching on Monday and seeing the woods and seeing the searchers and everybody everywhere. There's no way those kids are in the woods.
I can't say who they are, and I can't really say what they told me, but it's ironclad. It's 1,000% true, okay? I know exactly what happened to the kids. The kids are alive. The kids are probably not in Nova Scotia now, but the kids are safe. The kids are being taken care of by
All right, welcome Mob Crew family. All right, let's hope today the stream goes better. Let me know in chat how the volume is and if there are any issues. If this does persist, I am going to
and wandered
tear
off
my system apart and reset it up. But hopefully I tried something else, and hopefully it works. So, again, just let me know. And as always, thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your day to watch the channel and supporting it. And if you can, please hit that like button. And thank you to all my wonderful mods, members, Patreons, everybody that supports this channel. God bless you guys. All right, I've got a lot to go over. Volume is good. Awesome. All right. We'll just recap the timeline just a little bit, but we're going to get into what I believe, in my opinion, covering this case for over a month now. I believe there is a probable, highly likely motive in this case that we will go over. Just looking at chat. Sound good? Good. All right. Perfect. All right, we will just quickly recap. I know probably 99% of you guys are familiar, so I won't spend too much, but I will just recap the timeline a little bit. I do have a poll going on, which doesn't surprise me. I kind of figured the two big ones would be either people believe that the mother was involved in somehow the disappearance of the siblings, and or both were. But it is kind of wavering back and forth. But right now, Malaya's at the top. We'll see what happens as more votes come in. But, yeah, I will share my thoughts here in a bit. All right, let's just quickly recap the timeline.
April 29th, 2025. The last day Lilly and Jack Sullivan attend Salt Springs Elementary, a small rural school about an 18-kilometer bus ride from their home. There was no school the next day, and the children were kept at home May 1st and 2 owing to illness, according to Mr. Martel.
So we learned that the kids had missed a few days of school, and I do think this is kind of important as well. This will kind of lead into the motive as well, or problems that they were having. in my opinion. But the kids were last seen at least on the 29th as far as school-wise, and then they didn't have school on the 30th, and then they didn't show up Thursday and Friday, and then we'll learn later on that Malaya actually called in, because I was wondering about that when they did call in for them, and allegedly she called in at 6:15 in the morning on Friday to let them know that they were not coming into school. Now, of course, there was
2025.
A little bit of concern because that was the last time they were seen was the 29th, but then we learned that they found footage that showed the kids on Thursday, May 1st, where they were in a town up northeast in New Glasgow. They were at, I want to say like a mall or something like that. I do have the clip for that, but so they were seen alive, verified the day before they allegedly went missing. So I do think that's a good thing.
At approximately 10 a.m., Ms. Brooks Murray calls 911 to report Lilly and Jack missing. RCMP issue a vulnerable missing persons alert in Pictou County and ask for the public's help in locating the children who they say are believed to have wandered off from the home. Police do not issue an Amber Alert, saying an abduction appears unlikely and the case does not meet the necessary criteria.
So no Amber Alert, although they were trying to push for it. Then, let's see here. We'll kind of skip forward. One of the big things, obviously, was a red flag. On the second day, Malaya ended up leaving in the afternoon. They were doing a briefing about, what they were going to search next. Allegedly, she was sitting in an ambulance, and her mother had showed up, and a lot of people, including Daniel and I believe Daniel's cousin, said that all of a sudden Malaya's behavior completely changed, and they believe it's due to her mother likely influencing her, and they just ended up leaving, taking the 1-year-old baby that Daniel and Malaya share, and they took off to stay with the mother.
By Lansdowne Station Road. Mr. Martell said Ms. Brooks Murray leaves midway through the update to sit in the back of an ambulance. She departs with her mother, and Mr. Martell said he hasn't seen her since. She cuts off contact with him after this. Rain complicates the search efforts as search and rescue teams work through dense forest and boggy conditions.
That's a good question.
Drones,
yeah.
equipped with infrared technology, are used at night to look for any traces of the children.
Okay, so we're just kind of fast forward and just a little bit of the highlights.
The morning of Friday, May 2nd.
And yes, huge shout out to Melanie. I just had her thing up there. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Good evening, Chris. Glad you're feeling better. Thank you so much. Yeah, I do have a goal. There's rarely I ever, ask for donations, but I've been so behind on live shows. If you would like to help support this channel, it would help, but it's not something I like to beg for. But I do have that up there because I have been way behind. And Jazz, thank you so much for the gifted Mob Group membership. God bless you. Real quick, just to get up to date on everything that happened in May, I'm just going to play this clip, and then we're going to get into some very interesting stuff and into the motive.
And the day before. A massive search followed until May 7th, when police announced efforts would be scaled back. Additional searches were held throughout the month. Confirmation they were seen on May 1st helps fill out the timeline.
It just shows continuity of who saw them last. Now, they don't say where they saw them.
Retired police staff Sergeant Jim Hoskins isn't involved in the case, but says it's rare for two children to...
Okay, so then we skip 7 weeks later. They conducted mini searches. They were out there for like 4 to 5 days, and then they did a press conference saying, hey, we if they're out there in the woods, if they did wander off, we don't think they're, still alive just because of the conditions. But they would end up conducting a few more searches and even come back on May 19th, which we're going to cover why they went out to this specific area, which is interesting. So we'll get into that.
This is the first time a reward has been.
And then, of course, June 19th, a big announcement, reward up to $150K. We'll play this clip real quick.
Introduced in the case. $150,000 for information leading to the kids' whereabouts.
The province of Nova Scotia is offering a reward of up to $150,000 for any information relating to the two siblings who were reported missing last month. 6-year-old Lilly and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan were reported missing from their home on May 2nd in Lansdowne Station in Pictou County. In a brief phone call today, the children's maternal grandmother told Global News the family's focus is on finding Lilly and Jack, and they hope this reward will help. Premier Tim Houston says he's also hoping for the safe return of the children. Nova Scotia's Justice Minister says the province is doing everything they can to support the RCMP in the investigation.
Okay, so we get the reward, and then just before the reward, we have this news release by RCMP, which was on June 11th. I won't read the whole thing, but just a few of the highlights. They talk about, they kind of basically have this, task force of different agencies, including major crime units, digital forensics, truth verification, legal application support team, police dog services, underwater recovery, behavioral science, and criminal analysis. I mean, if that doesn't shout some kind of criminal investigation, I don't know what does. Then they even go on to say National Missing Persons and, of course, CPS, Canadian Centre of Child Protection. Very interesting. They also talk about how they have collected hundreds of hours of footage, and they're still asking the public of any footage between 12 p.m. on April 28th all the way through May 2nd. Very interesting. Clearly, I think they're looking for, maybe certain vehicles that kept showing up, maybe suspicious. They've interviewed 54 people, and some of those individuals have been polygraphed, and then up to 400, basically nearly 500 tips. So kind of interesting that they put this out June 11th, and then 8 days later we get the huge reward. So is it because they just hit a wall and said, all right, we're now putting out the reward? Or did this, like, task force, all the stuff that they have, did they come across something and they feel like, all right, now we need to kind of up the ante and put an incentive out there for someone to come forward about the kids? And yes, please, if you can, hit that like button. God bless you. Oh my God, you guys are amazing. I will get to chat here. I'm just going to try to catch up a little bit, and we will get to chat. Because I want to get to the interesting stuff.
Anything found in any of these searches that was deemed to be of significance, even if you can't tell me any.
So I did a video yesterday, and I did think it was kind of interesting. So they, CBC News, they did it, a segment where they interviewed Daniel, which was a very interesting interview. It was the first time Daniel, from what I can remember, where he actually goes over the timeline, because most of the time, we only heard the timeline from Malaya's perspective, but the only ones that we would hear from Daniel were from, non-recorded video. They were just quotes in articles. So it was nice to actually see Daniel actually explain it. Very interesting. But I did think it was interesting that they even went to the RCMP. They did upload this video and article on June 19th, the same day that the reward would be announced. I do find it odd that, if they were going to clearly this was probably done a day or two prior because they have to edit and put everything together. But still, I think it's interesting that they didn't mention, hey, we're going to probably announce a reward. So maybe just keep an eye out, or, maybe wait to put your article out till later, because then you can add on the 150. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Investigating officer, but he speaks for the force in Nova Scotia.
It's quite rare that in my career I've never seen two missing children go at the same time.
Was anything found in any of these searches that was deemed to be of significance? Even if you can't tell me what it was, anything of significance?
So I can tell you that the investigation is ongoing and that we haven't found any evidence to show that there was an abduction of the children.
So you don't think they were abducted, but you can't find them. How do two young children just vanish?
That's a great question, Kayla, and we are asking for the public for tips and information.
He says the force has...
Okay, so let's get into, just before we get into the motive, I want to put this, because I did get this wrong. I did do a video about the blanket of boot prints. I thought it was, because, there's two separate boot prints. But this, I am sure other channels have covered this, but I think this right here, in my opinion, was a ruse. And if you're not know exactly what went down, from what I understand, I will play from all the information that we have available. This is what went down, and I do think this is possibly a ruse. All right, so let me get to chat. Geneva, God bless you. You rock, Chris. Thank you so much. You are an amazing supporter of the channel. Thank you so much. Sassy, towards the goal. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. Wendy M coming in. God bless you, Chris, for all you're helping others. I appreciate that, Wendy. I wish I could do more. And Cooper coming in with a huge $50 donation. Thank you so much. For a lot of you guys know, this is the last thing I usually do is ask for any kind of donations. I just like to put videos together, and sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. But let's get into the blanket and boot prints. Let me just make sure chat is going good. Okay.
Where it was found.
For 2 more weekends until the end of May, searching wells, mine shafts, and septic systems, even flying a drone beneath the home.
We had heard about a blanket on the dispatch audio, but it was never clear exactly where this piece of blanket was found, until this interview where they reveal a shocking clue.
The 4-year-old is wearing some blue dinosaur boots.
Police say they found a boot print. And listen to this in the radio chatter.
Families brought us to a location there, not far away, that there's a piece of a blanket.
Police won't say anything about a blanket, but Martel says a piece of Lily's blanket was found near the boot print. He says both children may have undiagnosed autism.
They had...
Again, one more time, Cooper, thank you so much.
Brought us to
God
a location there,
that is so awesome.
not far away.
Okay, sorry. All right, so let me back this up. So just for anybody, because I did screw this up. I did put a video out, I think maybe last week. Because there's 2 different boot prints, and I was under the assumption that the blanket was found near the boot print near the home, but I was wrong. But this, I think, is wild. So let's listen to the radio chat, and I'm going to show you guys approximately where the stuff was found. And I think, to me, there's something fishy with this.
His blanket was found near the boot print. He says both children may have undiagnosed autism.
They had...
Okay, so here's the map.
Families brought us to a location there, not far away, that there's a piece of a blanket, which the mother says she believes it belongs to her daughter. It's just off the road here. I don't know if you do PU status, you'll see where Bravo 3 and Bravo 8 are.
So if you hear that word, verbatim, he says families brought them over to this piece of blanket, which again, could be innocent, but I think there's something to it. So here is the home. Here is what they call the pipeline trail. And they said that they found it near a road. And that's also why I also thought it was near the, when I did the video, I think last week, when they said it was near the road, I'm like, oh, okay, it's near the Garlic Road where the boot print near the home was found. But no, there's an article where they explain, no, it was found on Lansdowne Road, and it was basically found, and I'll show you on the map here.
Yeah, it'll be just off the Lansdowne Road, off of 289.
Did we say we found an article? Possibly. There's a couple other pieces of old clothing here. Pieces just torn, like pieces of rag, but there is a
Now, sadly, he cuts out. I wish this did not cut out, because it seems like he's kind of explaining, what's around there, and I don't know why it just cuts out. But we just get that there's a piece of blanket, and then there's some other rags, and I even think there's a water bottle found nearby, which I really think is very interesting. Now, I'll show you kind of approximately. Again, this is just approximate of where this was located. My mods can let you know, Blue Jay. If you put the @ and then start typing out the first few letters of somebody's name, usually it'll start to pre-fill it out. If you get like the first, if you have the @ and then the first few letters, it should pull up, all the J names, M names, if that makes sense. Okay, sorry. Well, I was addressing chat. So here is the pipeline trail. Here is an overlay. Now, it's not 100% perfect overlay. It's close. But I showed this in my live when we covered this months ago. But as you can see, they clearly were focused going west. And there's a reason for that. So again, heavy focus on the pipeline trail, and as you can see, if you look at it, because I've seen these diagrams, because I've done searching before for anybody that's new to the channel. I've done volunteer searching, independent searching, and so I kind of understand. The different colors usually means either a group or a individual.
On the first day of the search, emergency responders speaking over a non-encrypted radio channel mention a canine unit being dispatched to a blanket. Families brought us to a location there.
So key word right here, families. Keep that in mind. They didn't just stumble across it. And I'm sure maybe we're missing out on context on both sides, maybe, but from what we're hearing, it sounds like families brought them to a location
not far away that there's a piece of a blanket which the mother says she believes belongs to her daughter. Just off the road here, an official said over the radio.
And this was on day 1, so keep that in mind.
Martel confirmed it was a piece of Lily's blanket. There is more evidence than what the public knows, but I can't elaborate on any of that, said Martel.
So Daniel says there's more evidence that they found, but he can't speak on it. And then this is where we learn about how close to the road this thing was found.
He did say it was found on Lansdowne Road, near the location of a child-sized boot print that was discovered around the same time by searchers in the area of a pipeline trail, just over a kilometer from the children's home. RCMP refused to answer questions about the blanket. However, the force did confirm the boot print was believed to be child-sized. Asked if anything of significance has been uncovered in the course of the investigation, RCMP Guillaume Tremblay said there is no evidence to suggest the children were abducted.
Okay, so Lily's partial blanket.
I'm looking to speak to somebody. Can I get an idea of what we're looking at, where we're looking?
So, the family is convinced that these children didn't cross the road.
So we have Lily's blanket, that a piece of Lily's blanket's found somewhere not far off Lansdowne Road, somewhere near this pipeline trail right here, right? Then I think later that day or the next day, let me know in chat. I want to say the boot print was found the next day. I could be wrong. But it was the blanket first. And then, coincidentally, they find a child-side boot print not far from the blanket. Now, and then, that same day, they mentioned this, which I just played, but let me play it one more time.
I'm looking to speak to somebody. Can I get an idea of what we're looking at, where we're looking?
So, the family is convinced that these children didn't cross the road from their residence. Of course, we're skeptical that we know how these searches go.
The lead up.
So what do you guys think? Do you guys think that was planted by them? And we'll get more into this in my theory, and I'm sure others may probably share this theory as well. But I think it's very interesting that they telling them that they don't believe, the family members. Keep in mind, the family members are saying that they don't think they went this way. And it just so happens, just off this road of Lansdowne, they find a piece of Lily's blanket. And then later on, they find just a pair of child-sized boot prints. What are the odds? Was that a setup for them to, they found the blanket, we need to search this area? And then, look, we found a boot print, and then guess what happens? You know what they did? They ended up not only searching a bunch going west around this area, but they then even went back on May 19th to conduct another search in the same area. So clearly, they may have even found even more stuff that we don't even know. Again, even according to Daniel himself, says there's other evidence that they found. Did they find other stuff and we just didn't hear it on the radios? Just saying. Was this a ruse to make it look like, yep, they went on the run, and it was planted? Now, I just want to say, before we move on, in my personal theory, I don't think either one of them took the children's lives. I pray that they are still alive, but I really don't think they killed these kids. But I do think there is a clear motive of what could have went down, and we're going to get into that right now. I just want to quickly catch up on chat, and then we're going to get right into it, because I think, in my opinion, maybe not clear as day, but with everything going on, I think there's a good possibility that they know a lot more than they're saying. And Jess, thank you so much for just everything, being a mod and the support. God bless you, sweetheart. Joanne, thank you. Is it Joni? Sorry, it's a little small. I apologize if I butchered that. I will look at it better on this bigger screen. But thank you, Mob Crew Rocks. God bless you, Joan. And then we have Francis with the $4.99. Thank you guys so much. Halfway to the goal. You guys are amazing. Again, it's not something I really like to put out there as far as goals and stuff, but I've just been so behind. All right, let's get going.
So that we know how these searches go.
The lead up to the disappearance.
Blue Jay thinks I agree, but maybe
so
a possible.
when teams are tasked, they get a bearing.
Crews have searched around 8.
So, real quick, before we get to the motive, I forgot I added this in because I do think this is interesting. As a person that has been involved in searches, she probably knows more than the public as well. She probably doesn't know as much as, obviously, the RCMP, but I'm sure, obviously, since she's the leader, whatever stuff they found, I'm sure she is aware of.
8.5 square kilometers.
Coming up through all of this stuff.
Amy Hansen has been the search manager for most of that. She's taking us into the woods to show us what her team has been dealing with.
The vast majority of it was probably from Fiona.
Downed trees from post-tropical storm Fiona 3 years ago.
This is actually fairly mild compared to some of the areas.
Over a total of 10 days, they searched for 12,000 hours.
It's pretty much unheard of in this province. It's the biggest search I've been involved in.
And she's been at this 22.
She's a hero in my eyes. Anybody that takes their time to go out and volunteer, because they're risking so many things, it's so easily to trip, twist an ankle, heat exhaustion, which they did get. They were working overtime because they wanted to find these kids. God bless all these volunteers coming in and doing what they do. As a person has been involved in this kind of work, it is rough.
2 years.
Do you think those kids are in the woods?
From everything I've seen, yes.
Why can't you find them?
They're small, they'd be hiding. They would have crawled underneath something probably when they got tired. They could have gone further than what we searched. There's all kinds of scenarios, unfortunately.
She said searchers weren't just looking for the children, but also clues. Clue sensitive is what we call it. They're clue finders, said Hansen, who was the search manager for 10 operational search periods. We're looking for all the evidence of them going through the area. Conditions were extremely difficult. Hansen describes teams being close enough that they could touch fingertips, but they couldn't actually see each other through the thick brush. Despite the lack of evidence, Hansen still believes the children are in the woods. They're small. They'd be hiding. They would have crawled underneath something probably when they got tired. They could have gone further than what we searched, she said. There's all kinds of scenarios, unfortunately. Martel said he'd like to see cadaver dogs, which are trained to pick up the scent of human remains, brought in to search the woods.
So that's the one thing I am surprised. They have not brought in any cadaver dogs yet. That is interesting and telling, especially at this point. I mean, even just bringing out a few just to get out there and just kind of gauge and see if there's, any hits. I am really surprised they have not done that. So that tells me maybe they, there's other directions they're looking at. But that is interesting. Okay, so now we're going to start getting into the motive. Blue Jay says, I got a new iPhone and I'm on I don't know. Yeah, when it comes to Apple's not the most friendly when it comes to YouTube and donations and stuff. There's a little bit of a workaround. I'll have to look up Apple and see what's going on because there's always new stuff that the Apple users have to go through. But just being here, spending time chatting, hitting the like button means the world to me. Henry Dog, huge supporter of this channel. I can't praise you enough, Henry Dog. Good to see you. Says afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much. All right, let's. I'll get to chat here more in a minute. Let's get to this first part. I think this is, in my opinion, the motive. So we get the article that came out 2 days ago. I think this came out on the 19th along with the reward. It says updated June 21st, but I do think this came out the same time the reward. this is very interesting, and I think this shows a possible motive of what may have been going on. So it says that they were being assessed by child welfare months before the disappearance. So let's just read a few of the highlights, and I think this could be a strong motive of what may lead to a possible scenario.
Did the living conditions of Jack and Lily Sullivan months before their mysterious disappearance from a rural part of the province in early May, a case file that has been reviewed by the minister responsible for child welfare. Scott Armstrong, Nova Scotia's Minister of Opportunities and Social Development, confirmed in an interview that the agency had a file on the children prior to their disappearance, but said it would be inappropriate for him to discuss the agency's findings. Daniel Martel, who was in a common-law relationship with the children's mother and was living with them when they went missing, told the Globe and Mail in an interview in May that a social worker with Child Protective Services visited the home several months ago. The visit was prompted by concerns that had been relayed by someone at the children's school and related to their developmental delays, Mr. Martel said. The children's mother, Malihia Brooks Murray, said she had no comment in relation to Child Protective Services' involvement with Lily and Jack. Mr. Martel has said he had nothing to do with the children's disappearance and has nothing to hide. I'm keeping the story alive and keeping everyone's hopes up, not just my own, Mr. Martel told the Globe in May. He also said Ms. Brooks Murray had no involvement in the disappearance. I know Malihia has nothing to do with anything.
So clearly they were looking, CPS was looking into the kids and the living conditions, and my theory, which we'll kind of back up with some other stuff, but let me know your thoughts and we'll stop and read some chat here in a minute. But I think this could be the catalyst for the kids going missing. Possibly they thought that, well, especially the mother thought that the kids would be removed. And before they could do that, they acted. And they made it, in my theory is, I think they made it look like the kids ran away. That's why both their stories more or less line up. Yet we're going to have some interesting stuff to go over here in a minute. But my theory, and I'm sure others, is this was the catalyst. They were worried about the kids getting taken away, and the mother panicked. And maybe this story with this Darin Geddes, I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, the O'Grady guy, whatever, is claiming that she had them, removed because she was worried that they were going to be taken away. Let me know what you guys think about that in chat. But I don't think that's a coincidence that CPS was involved. And did they act first before CPS?
Child welfare authorities investigate when a report of suspected abuse or neglect is received by the agency. In Nova Scotia, every person has a legal obligation to report concerns of suspected abuse or neglect of a child. The law stipulates that teachers and other child care workers have an added duty to report. Ms. Brooks Murray told police that Lily, 6, and Jack, 4, wandered away from their home in Lansdowne on May 2nd, while she and Mr. Martel, her then common-law partner, were sleeping. Earlier that same morning, around 6:15 a.m., she reported both children would be absent from school.
So I find that interesting. So we learned she was up at 6:15, according to this article, that, we haven't heard the 911 call, but at 6:15, she reported both children. So she was up because, when we first heard the story, it sounded like they had just slept in and were kind of coming in and out. And, allegedly Daniel saw Lily kind of coming in and out, but they were laying in bed with the baby. And then all of a sudden it's silent and, they're missing. But, clearly she was up that morning. Let me get to chat real quick. Learning curves. Love your channel. It's not much, but I hope it helps your goal. Let's find these babies and get more people on the case. Thank you so much, Learning. Yeah, let's hopefully the reward and maybe this, Darin guy is what he's saying is true, because that would mean the kids are alive, and yeah, that would be really nice. Maine USA, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. God bless you. And Maria misses the South. Great job as usual, Chris. Thank you so much. God bless you guys. All right. Right now on the poll, we've got over 300 votes. Right now, leading the most people suspect Malaya at 55%. In second, which doesn't surprise me, both were involved. Not much for Daniel, 4%, and then 13% not sure, or the kids ran away. So more people looking at Malaya. I don't blame them. Her actions of just leaving on day 2 is really weird. I really do. I think that is the catalyst, and she freaked out, I think, because Daniel's still in love with Malaya. He's covering for her, because obviously we're gonna listen to some other stuff where clearly he's contradicting himself recently with some posts. So I do think this was probably planned to get the kids out of there before they were actually removed by CPS. They need to get the true serum. We got Dog the Bounty Hunter in here with the true serum. Don't blame you. I mean, if it led to the kids, yeah. Right, Janet. Yeah, I mean, yeah, a lot of cases that we have been covering. Yeah, CPS
According
is
to
involved. Yeah, that's a great point, Janet.
Martell. He told the Globe that Lily had a cough and Jack was kept home as a precaution. The RCMP's Major Crime Division, involved since day 2 of the search, has since seized electronic devices from the children's home.
Yeah.
Conducted
So again, I'm not an expert. But for those that are kind of newer to the channel, I have done searching independently and with groups. I've done different kinds of areas, and we're usually you're just looking for one person. Very rare when you're looking for 2. I would just think with 2 kids, especially Lily allegedly likes this backpack. She's always carrying it around. There's kind of a story behind it that I think one of Daniel's children, I don't know, influenced her to have that backpack. That's her play backpack. Anyway, I just cannot see them not finding at least one of the kids or some kind of clothing that they were wearing at the very least, because if she's out there with a backpack, again, I've searched, and usually when I'm searching, I have a backpack. And when you start, let me see where I'm at, 18 minutes. When you start getting into this kind of stuff, and you got a backpack on, obviously the backpacks I have a strap, the basic straps, and then I have the belt buckle that secures it, because when you start walking through with a backpack on, all these branches, sticks sticking out, are going to get caught on that backpack and be yanking on it constantly. And I would just think that you would find a backpack or a boot, something from one of the 2 kids that they would have found, in my opinion. Not to say that they still couldn't be out there, but I would just think, unless they have found something we just don't know that they were wearing that day, there's always that possibility, but I can't see them not finding something that they were wearing, especially the backpack. I would think the backpack would be the first thing they found, because I don't know how many times I've had my, the backpack try to get ripped off of me.
Hansen has been the search manager for most
of the search.
Okay.
So far.
So, before we go over a little bit of the Darin Geddes, Jeds, I think it is. I just want to almost go back to the Darin O'Grady guy. But this all kind of, if you think about, if the CPS theory holds water, that they were panicked, then it does kind of make sense. And this is Daniel recently in chat saying, I know the guy who said she's on the run, who claims that Malaya is now allegedly on the run, and that the 1-year-old baby Meadow is now in CPS custody. And he also says, I was the one that told investigators. So, again, we now have Daniel, who has, up to a few days ago, with that latest interview, still said that, he saw Lily that morning. But then, if we go with the theory that this Darin Geddes,
the cousin of the mother, Malaya Brooks,
that they were already kind of gone somewhere around 6:30 a.m. That she had already removed them. So again, that makes me wonder: are they just kind of covering for each other? And maybe he does know a little bit more that he's saying. We reached the goal. That is so awesome. Thank you guys. You guys are amazing. Rita says, I just don't believe Daniel. And I don't blame you. I mean, I do think there's a few things that, if this version, if this theory is right about her going on the run and that the kids were kind of taken early on, we'll listen to it. For those who haven't heard it, these are just the highlights. I'm not playing the entire thing. But then it would, there's certainly questions that I think Daniel would need to address.
And he shared a bombshell recently claiming Malaya, the mother of the children, actually had Jack and Lily removed from the home the morning of May 2nd, without the stepfather and other family members knowing. Now, the reason Malaya allegedly took off on day 2 was because she was told that their 1-year-old baby Meadow needed to be removed from the property while the search went on for the 2 missing siblings, so Malaya and her mother took off to stay elsewhere with the baby. But another red flag was the fact that she allegedly stopped all communication with Daniel, the father of the 1-year baby Meadow, and stepfather to the 2 missing siblings. Here's O'Grady, Malaya's cousin, explaining allegedly what has happened since Malaya took the baby with her mother.
And grabbed the baby, grabbed Meadow, and took off from Cindy's place, which is her mother's place in Wentworth.
Right.
And that's where she's been staying under 24-hour supervision by CPS. But anyway, she fought with her mother tried.
Okay, so these are just a few highlights. I'm sure a lot of you have heard this, but for those of you that haven't, again, I think this does kind of back up the CPS was getting involved, and they're worried that the kids are going to be taken away, and so they just kind of, mother just got some friends and had help and had them removed to another location. And then that would kind of explain, we covered earlier, they found the blanket, which led to the boot print. And to me, I think that was all, in my opinion, I think that was staged, just to kind of make it look like that they did run away. But here, we'll play just some of the highlights. This, obviously, credit to Crime and Shame. There's a link to their channel in the description as well if you want to hear, because he's done interviews.
Tried to keep her there physically and couldn't keep her there, and Malaya headed what I was told by the other family members.
And it's certainly possible, Drippy.
Right away.
Certainly possible.
And that she had grabbed the baby and ran and headed for the reserve in Shubenacadie. Why she would head for the reserve, I don't know.
Yeah,
and I don't know
so.
for sure if that's where the chief of the Micmac Reserve, it's his brother that's her lawyer.
Oh, yeah.
And the only thing I can think of in that, so what I don't know, I'll say I don't know. What I know, I know. Now, I don't know exactly why she ran for the reserve, but the only connection I can think of is that her lawyer's there.
Okay, before we play all this, all right, let me finish this one here. I think it's going to stay the same. Malaya's kind of at the top as far as people thinking that she's behind the disappearance, and then coming in second at 29%, both were involved. I want to do one more poll here. I would love to know in the chat. Start a poll. Give me 1 second, guys. Do you believe in Jean's story about the siblings being removed? Okay, yes, no, not. Oops, jeez. I'm sure. I am really curious to see where people stand on this. Just make sure I got this right. Do you believe? No, he is making it up. Okay. All right. Really curious to see. All right. So I put a poll. Do you believe him? No. Not sure. Really curious. Why we play just the highlights. And, of course, he's done a couple of interviews. But, again, these are just the highlights.
Maybe she thinks she can get some kind of, I don't know, legal protection or whatever, because I think she realized that the jig is up. And I think she realized that I knew more than I made an educated guess, and I think I was right, and it made her panic.
Now this conversation comes as of Credit to YouTube channel, A Criming Shame, which I'll put a link to. According to Grady, it appears there was some kind of conflict between Malaya and Daniel allegedly.
Let's see, where are we at right now? 40%. Ooh, wow, this is going to be interesting to see where people land on this. Good to see you, Heather. God bless you.
And she made a bad mistake. There was some people involved with her. They made a bad mistake thinking they were doing something good. And before they realized what happened, things blew up so quick. The Mounties moved in so quick with the dogs.
Right.
The searchers and everything started so quick that by the time they realized, oh, Jesus, what did we do? It was gone too far. They couldn't back out of it. I'm very sure at this point that Malaya dressed the kids and took them to the roadside and put them in a vehicle. I'm about 80% sure I know who was driving the vehicle. I know who's in the vehicle.
Okay.
And I know who transported the kids. I'm very, very, very close to being 100% on that one. And when I finish finding out for sure, for absolute sure, then I'm gonna be able to find where those kids got delivered. But every indication through everywhere is yes, Malaya knows where they're at. And her bailing today was another large indication to me, because I think she was informed very quickly that I stated a name. I inquired about a name, and I was eavesdropped on, and I dropped the name because I wanted to be eavesdropped on.
Right.
The person that was eavesdropping, I was very suspicious of being involved. And before I got back home, I got the phone call that Malaya had grabbed the baby, panicked, and took off.
Grady goes.
Okay, so here is just, I think, where he explains kind of what she did that morning. And then I'll play just a little bit of his other interview that he did, the next day, where he pretty much says the same stuff, but he says that he believes everything is ironclad. But here's allegedly what happened that morning. And again, what's with that CPS looking into the children, and that, there's things going on with the school. I do think this, they could have wanted, we're worried about the kids getting removed and, took matters into their own hands.
On to explain that the only adults living there was the mother Malaya, stepfather Daniel, and Daniel's mother Janie. Janie appears to live in the camper next to the home, but according to Grady, Janie was up early that morning and she allegedly saw Malaya acting suspicious that early morning of May 2nd. Now, according to Malaya's own words, she was asleep and had slept in that morning.
What happened was we woke up, I heard them playing in the next room beside us, and I was drifting in and out of sleep, and they're not the type of kids that we tell them not to go outside on their own. We always make sure that we're out there with them, watching them, and they happen to just get out that sliding door, and we can't hear it when it opens, and they were outside playing, but we weren't aware of it at the time.
And of course, we've heard this interview a bunch of times, and it just didn't make sense. You can hear them playing, but yet you can't. You don't really know that they're playing. And then again, she was up at 6:15 calling in the school. I mean, obviously she could wake up, call, and then go lay back down, sure. But it is definitely kind of weird. Okay, now I think, let me get to chat. Let me just get caught up in chat real quick here. Copper Horse, hit that like button. God bless you, Copper Horse. I appreciate that. And getting the goal reach, that is awesome. Thank you, Copper Horse. You are amazing. Keeping it real, gifting a mob crew membership. Thank you so much, Keeping it real. If you do get gifted a membership, please, if you could, thank that person. And then we've got Sheila. Do you think the kids are on the reservation? Oh, God, that's a good question. I really think the kids are more likely alive than not. Since they haven't brought out the cadaver dogs yet. Again, maybe they do stuff differently in that area compared to the States. But there is some weird things, and we will point out there's some other stuff that we're going to point out. We'll just play a few more highlights from this Grady, and then some other things that I got. Let me see where we're at. So we got over 150 votes. Wow, so we're kind of at 40% not sure if he's telling the truth, and 40%, so it's kind of half and half. Think he's telling the truth. Interesting.
I was born in Stellarton. I live in Trenton. I'm related to Patty Allen and the people, my family in Toro. I know the McKenzie boys, James, Al.
So this is the second one, and again, I'm not going to play the entire thing, but here's him now giving his alleged real name, because when he first came on, he just went by an alias, Durwood O'Grady, claimed that he was allegedly connected with the family, and then he mentions a bunch of names that he's familiar with, that's associated with family members.
Earl, Daniel's father, I haven't known Earl. I only spotted him once. I've seen him a few times, but I've known James and Alvin and the rest of them for years. 1,000% true, okay? I know exactly what happened to the kids. The kids are alive. The kids are probably not in Nova Scotia now, but the kids are safe. The kids are being taken care of by, I'm sure, by Malaya's native people. My number one goal, if we could get those kids back alive, that would have been it. Knowing what I found out today through CPS and the information that I found out from this person, and believe me, it's ironclad.
Now, the one thing I would say is, like CPS, I do wonder, because, again, never dealt with CPS, but I think it's a little bit harder than just, getting a phone call and they just tell you everything. But again, I've never, dealt with CPS. If anybody could elaborate in chat what they think about him mentioning, talking with CPS, is that make him less credible, or is it possible?
It's 1,000%. The kids are alive, and somebody has them that's taking care of them. Meadow is in custody of CPS, and they're going to decide where Meadow goes. Jack and Lily, I'm telling you, they're alive, and I'm sure they're being protected by the Native community, probably not the Native community in Shubenacadie, and they may not even be in Canada. Now, that's what I know, and there's a big difference between what I know and what I think. So I just told you what I know. If I turn out to be wrong, the source that informed me this afternoon, then I'll fully expose it, because this source is very important, very in the know, very heavy, right in the middle of everything, and I almost said a he or she, and I'm not going to do that. They know everything that happened right from start to finish. I double-checked it with other people, other witnesses, other sources. Very impressionable, and she's had a rough go of it. Not so much with Daniel. Their relationship was a lot better than the relationship they had before. She had a really rough go of it.
So that's about as much I'll play at that. There's just a little bit more. And obviously, if you want to hear everything, I've got the link down to Crime Shame. For the members, I did his full interviews so far. But he goes on to say that he believes possibly could be suffering from postpartum. But again, I think the CPS angle, I really do think that would be a legit motive to maybe try to get the kids out. Now, I'm sure a lot of people have seen these, and this is also interesting because Daniel just did an interview June 19th. So all these messages, these live chats from, I believe, Dolly Vision's channel came, I think, just after this. But, they released that interview where he tells the same story, basically aligning with Malaya about what happened that morning. But then he says kids are alive. Polygraph exam questions were all on death. Everyone passed.
We could have protected her from right off the bat. Would have been no problem. Nope.
Now, during that time, I'm glad Dolly did this, because I don't know how many times I've seen there'll be like trolls for certain channels, and they'll literally like, let's say if I had like a troll that wanted to like troll me with my own account, well, not my actual account, but wanted to act like a mob crew, they could just make a YouTube channel with mob crew and then come into chat, and you'd see mob crew. There would be probably some slight difference, but it'd be very minute. So you could impersonate, but typically you can't click on people's chat, and that can take them to their channel, and he did do that, which I'm glad he did, because I would have had some concerns. But Daniel apparently has a YouTube channel since 2012. Looked like he was into Pokemon. Hasn't uploaded in 5 years, but it is definitely Daniel. And if you watch the videos, you can definitely, it's Daniel. So very interesting that he's now saying, he's basically saying what this guy is saying is true, that allegedly Malaya is on the run. Meadow, the 1-year-old baby, is in CPS. So very strange.
Problem to protect her what she was scared of. And I believe if she would have done it that way, and she wanted to separate and walk out, she could have walked out with her kids. She could have walked out peacefully. We could have drove.
He says, I want Meadow, not Malaya.
Like some of my relatives have a good life.
It's not abduction. That's a criminal investigation. It's a missing person case.
And we could have parked her in there, and some of us would have protected her and watched out for her.
Says, yes, she's terrified. Investigators are close. This was, 2-3 days ago? Let's see. So I mean, June 19th. I think this happened on June 20th, like right after the reward.
And her people would have protected her, helped her financially, would have helped her with the kids, and we could have brought her right along back into a life where she would.
And here is Darin just kind of going on saying, hey, you know, it's too bad they didn't contact us. We would have helped set up something, you know, again. Is he telling the truth? Who, you know, it remains to be seen.
Have to be scared. And now I want the cops to move. Don't jerk around. These kids, these kids could be anywhere from a farmhouse outside of Tattamakush to Plattsburgh, New York.
So he does say that they could be across the border. Again, I don't know. I do pray that this is the more likely scenario. That just means that they are alive and that, you know, the mother or the father or somebody else to come and take these kids' lives, or they didn't wander off, because obviously their odds wandering off in the woods and not being found is not a good scenario either.
These kids could have gone through the big reserve in Ontario. I have a hard time saying it.
Okay. All right. There's a couple other things I want to go over, and then we'll recap everything. So here's some more. I think we covered these. No dogs should go through the property. I'm assuming Dolly probably made him a mod so he could see his chat easier. He says he has a CPS appointment tomorrow. Again, these are a couple days ago. She told RCMP that she felt safe with me 5 minutes in the ambulance. And then after that, she was a different person, which that is kind of what we heard through multiple sources now. I think his cousin, I believe Logan, right, has kind of explained that as well, that the Malaya's mother showed up and literally once they got in that ambulance, whatever, the mother is very controlling and she got Malaya and the baby out of there. These are allegedly, okay, take this with a huge giant grain of salt. I usually don't like showing this, but again, you know, for right now, this is just kind of, you know, I do kind of hope this is true, because this does mean the kids could be alive, but this is allegedly Malaya. I'm not going to read everything. You can find this, and you can obviously just read it and pause it, but just a few things. So allegedly, if this is true, this is Malaya, and this is, let's see, Malaya in the dark. And then I believe this is the paternal grandmother on the father's side, so Cody's mother. Correct me if I'm wrong in chat. I just want to go over a few things. So this was, it says Thursday and Friday. So this past weekend. One question: do you believe in your heart that Daniel could hurt them? Allegedly, she says, I don't know, because he's acting suspicious. Everything he's doing is odd, and the police advised him to stay away from the media, and was told to stop contacting me. And he's tried to steal money from my account through Temu with my card that's attached to the account. My main focus right now is Meadow and find my kids. Daniel has been saying to YouTubers that he believes you and the kids have taken the kids that morning, and he woke up when you came back in bed. Let him, and then she responds, let him say whatever he wants. I can't say anything to anyone anymore. Then allegedly, she goes on to say, your lawyer can speak on your behalf. She agrees. So Daniel's putting all eyes on you. Seems like it, but I'm not following the media. And there's a couple of interesting. Your Your grandmother's cousin has been thinking the same thing. He too has been on social media. I can't even listen to all this. And then, who are you protecting Meadow from? And this, again, if this is true, this would back up the whole CPS and her trying to get the kids away from CPS. Because she asks us 2 questions here. Again, take this with a grain of salt. It could be BS. But she has 2 questions. But the big one here is, who are you protecting Meadow from? The 1-year-old baby. And she answers with CPS. So, again, very interesting. Again, it could be all BS. But if not, that is interesting. Right, yeah, it sounds like Cody. Yeah, it sounds like they just decided to have, one parent than have 2 broken parents. Yeah, in the interview with the grandmother. Let's see.
I do, and I see it every day online.
He's keenly aware the public suspects him, says the police did too at the start.
Of course. The stepfather was always a prime suspect.
It's possible.
At the beginning.
So he offered to take a polygraph test.
I was extremely nervous. Especially with the first question they asked you, did you kill Lilly and Jack?
That was the first question they asked you?
Yeah. Yeah.
When did you find out the result of your test?
Right, that's a good question. Yeah, that's a good statement. History.
What did they say to you?
You did a good job, you passed.
Okay, a couple more things I found very interesting. I want to know what you guys think in the chat. I was really blown away by this, in my opinion. So he talks about how the first question was, did he, hurt the kids or, kill the kids? Then in this article, so this is the article that went along with that, story that they did that was released on June 19th, probably filmed a day or two before with this interview. But this is the article part of it, which there's always a little bit more stuff in it. And one of the things it says, let's see, do I have it read it out? Oh, maybe I didn't have the audio on. Sorry.
Immediately right after.
Okay. This right here. None of the questions assume the children were taken, he said. So, again, according to Daniel, speaking with this lady, he said that none of the questions assumed the children were taken. I'm really blown away by that. I would think that would be one of the main questions. Again, they come up with either anywhere from like 10 to 20 questions, and they're all made up usually between the person getting the polygraph and the guy conducting the test. And they literally come up with the questions. And then, obviously some are just, are you sitting in a chair? Is the grass pink? A false question. And then in the mix is, the actual questions. And then they'll do one set, and then they'll rearrange them, and then do it again, and then rearrange the questions again, so that way they never know which question's coming up. But anyway, again, what do you guys think of that? I would think that would be one of the biggest things if they were taking a polygraph. How would that not be in the question queue? So I'm just reading. Drippy says, I agree. She was terrified of CPS. Yeah, I do think there's, the CPS angle has definitely got some weight to it. I'm just kind of reading chat here. Yeah, his answer's a little bit weird. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Can't get a good read on him. Yeah, I do. I mean, you got to give him credit. He's still out there, doing interviews. You do got to give him credit there. But, okay, now that we have almost 600 people in here, and I do appreciate it, if you can, please hit that like button. Oh, if you missed the first part, I'll just kind of recap just kind of my theory. And again, I'm sure others may have the same theory. I doubt I'm not the first one to think of this as being the possible motive. But anyway, let me finish this. Is there anything else in this one? It caught up in chat here.
Malaya never thought that Janie was home at the time.
Okay, thank you so much.
Early in the morning.
Right.
Malaya was on the side of the road, and Janie showed up and surprised Malaya.
She was on the side of the road?
Yep. I believe this is not fact.
Okay, speculation.
I can't prove it.
Okay.
I believe that Janie just missed the kid transfer.
Now, this is one thing, is where's Janie? I would love to, how come she isn't speaking? I think this would really, and again, maybe RCMP has told her, to try not to say that they can't, and not anybody can, I think they encourage them not to do social media, but, or, interviews, but they can do whatever they want. I would really love to know, is this true? I think, if we heard from Janie, this would either confirm or shoot down this whole thing, right? If she had seen him, or if she had seen the mother acting suspicious. Right, yeah, I think she definitely holds the key. I think she could blow this wide open, at least, either... add validity to what this Darin's saying, or it would, or the opposite. Okay, I got a couple more things. Looks like the chat in the stream has been going smooth, so I'm really glad about that. Oh, thank you, Jamie. God bless you. We have such an amazing community, and I'm so glad to be getting back into the live shows. I'm going to do a members live, and I'll kind of explain why my computer kind of got messed up with some other stuff. All right, let's just recap a few things, because I know there's probably people that came in. Let's do a quick recap and then finish with a couple of things. So here's the theory if you missed it earlier. So, the blanket...
If you do PU status, you'll see where Bravo 3 and Bravo 8 are.
For those that...
we just off the Lansdowne Road, off of 289.
So, during that first day...
Did we say we found an article?
We hear them say family, plural, family members had led them to this piece of Lily's blanket. Now, if you're wondering where that was, thanks to a recent article, it was found near this road. Now, this is where their home is at, so keep that in mind. And the distance between this and here is just over a kilometer. And for us people that use miles, that is 1 kilometer is like 0.6 miles. So 3/4 of a mile, approximately.
Possibly. There's a couple other pieces of old clothing here. Pieces just torn, like pieces of rag. But there is a
yeah. So this is the pipeline trail, and you just go forward a little bit here. Here is That's the search. This is me overlaying, the search. Clearly, they focused on the west side. Now, remember, they released that graphic on the 4th or 5th. It was the 4th or 5th day, right, when they did the press conference. And then, don't forget, they would end up coming back out to a particular area on May 19th.
To a location there not far away that there's a piece of a blanket which the mother says she...
So I'm going to just read this and not have that thing. Families brought us, so keep that in mind. Families brought us to a location not far away where there was a piece of blanket where the mother says she just belongs to her daughter. Just off the road here. Martell confirmed it was a piece of Lily's blanket. Then he even says there's more evidence than what the public knows. Then he says this was found off Lansdowne Road near the location of, guess what? The child-sized boot print near the Pipeline Trail.
Believes belongs to her dog print.
So they had found, well, allegedly the family members, according to this. So, maybe they're just driving down the road, trying to help, and then, oh, hey, guess what? There's a blanket, or a piece of blanket. And then, okay, so they're like, okay, well, this is a good, as a person, if there's nothing, and you find a piece of evidence that could, lead to the kid, that could belong to the kids, obviously that is going to be ground zero now, until you find your next clue. And then what happens later on? They find a child-sized boot print. So again, my theory, and again, I know it's not the first person to come up with this theory, is I think this was a ruse.
Crews have searched.
And then, coincidentally, at the same time, they say, oh, the family says, oh, we don't think that they went past Garlock Road. So it's like they're trying to force them up this way. So I do find that really odd.
Majority of it was.
Then
the living conditions of Jack and.
Then we get the same day that we got the, there was a lot. June 19th was huge. We got the reward. We had just gotten done with the interview with Daniel, and then we get this article that drops I guess a bombshell, but at the same time it's not really surprising, is that Child Welfare Agency, CPS, was looking into their case.
File on the children prior to their disappearance, but said it would be inappropriate for him to discuss the agency's findings. Daniel Martell, who was in a common-law relationship with the children's mother and was living with them when they went missing, told the Globe and Mail in an interview in May that a social worker with Child Protective Services visited the home several months ago. The visit was prompted by concerns that had been relayed by someone at the children's school and related to their developmental delays, Mr. Martell said.
So again, I'm just kind of recapping. I know a lot of you probably just saw this earlier, but we have more people in chat, so I just wanted to recap. But I think CPS was clearly involved, obviously, and we've even heard that like Malay used to kind of keep up the home, but more recently it hasn't been kept up, allegedly. Obviously, this is all just coming from third parties, but still, it does sound like there could be some truth to this. And then with the CPS, did they panic and decide to remove these kids before CPS came and took them? And, Darin says that she was going through postpartum. Obviously, as a male, I have no idea what that would be like or what that does to somebody. I can't imagine. Especially if that was true. And yeah, was she not thinking clearly? And then of course Daniel being in love with her, because clearly if we go and then we fast forward to where we were just at, we just had Daniel do an interview just before the reward literally matching up the same story that morning as Malaya, that he saw Lily come in multiple times wearing pink, but yet if they had removed him before that, then we're missing out. Oh, what? Let's see. Someone's trying. Oh, I can write it down. Manny Collins Jr. Here, we'll feature him at the end, and then I'll write his name. It's Manny Collins Jr. All right, Andrew, we'll pull him up before we leave. All right, let's see what the poll is at. Well, I almost have 300. So almost 50% of you are kind of in the middle. Not sure if he's telling the truth. 35% more or less think he is. And then 20% no, he's making it up. So very divided. Definitely. Yeah, we'll pull up Manny here in just a second. Let me
Daniel,
see if there was anything else.
I instantly just called 911. It's just.
Oh, of course.
Mr. Martell speaks to the Globe and Mail about what happened on the morning the children went missing.
Let's see. Was there anything else?
The children have undiagnosed.
I think that is it. Let's just see if there's just a sporadic update. I doubt it. I was really thinking, as time goes on, and if this Darin guy kind of disappears, then I think it was all BS. But everything 4 days ago, 1 week ago. Yeah. Nothing new that we can see. Okay. Is that Manny Collins Jr., right? Oh, I can see it right there. Okay, let's play this clip real quick. Wait, is this connected? Okay, let's play this.
It has now been 1 month since the Columbia Heights teen vanished. Police believe against.
Okay, so this is from our viewer. We'd like to help out other missing, because there's so many missing people. So we love to help. This is just a real recap on this case here.
His will. Fox 9 has been following 16-year-old Manny Collins' story from the very beginning, and tonight our Leon Purvis walks us through.
Let me know if you can hear that. Okay.
Developments since he disappeared 4 weeks ago.
A mom has been without her son for a month now. Let's go to where it started. On May 8th, Manny Collins was last seen in Columbia Heights at 49th and University. That was the last time Ashley Berry heard from her son, Manny.
His last text from me was 4 a.m. that he liked my message about the allowance. He said, "Thank you, Mom. I appreciate you. I love you. I'll see you soon."
Now, Manny was reported missing on May 12th, and then on the 19th, an alert went out for him. On May 28th, the story echoed across Minnesota as his mother, Ashley Berry, made a plea for Manny to come home. Investigators also revealed they believe Manny is missing against his will.
16-year-olds don't just disconnect the way Manny did via social media. So I would say we're all convinced that he has disappeared against his will.
The next day, on the 29th, the Anoka...
Okay, I want to pause this. Please stay here, because there is a new video by CBC News. I'd see it over here. Sorry, I apologize to interrupt. All right, we're going to finish this Manny Collins, and then there's a video by CBC News. Looks like there's another interview.
The county sheriff's office was at
So don't
the
go anywhere,
apartment
please.
building where Manny Collins was staying with his father. Investigators say he was last seen in Columbia Heights with his father. Our cameras were there as investigators removed items from Manny's father's apartment. That same day, Fox 9 spoke to Manny's uncle.
My nephew is missing, and the last person he was seen with hasn't. It's not rocket science. We're not building no rockets, man. It's common sense. You know, when he's yelling, I need a lawyer, I need a lawyer.
In their latest briefing on Friday, investigators revealed they had begun searching the Elk River landfill Wednesday, looking for further evidence that could help find Manny.
When we're looking for something, we might end up having to contact, say if it was a home over here, where does their refuse go? And that would lead us to go to a certain landfill.
Investigators say they have a person of interest but will not say who it is. Manny's mother told us Friday she is overwhelmed as she has no information on where her son might be. Leon Purvis, Fox 9.
An investigation is underway in St. Paul.
Prayers for the family. I truly hope, that person of interest, they, has answers, and, there's, they get resolution. But I wrote that down, and we'll keep an eye on that. That is terrible. Okay. There is an update. I don't know. Oh, God. Is this just the same thing? Hold on. Maybe this is nothing.
To be clear, we don't have evidence to suggest that an abduction took place at this time.
Is it something you're still investigating, whether or not they could have been abducted?
So we're exploring all investigative avenues. So on the morning of May 2nd, approximately 10 a.m., our CMP officers received a call about 2 missing children in Lansdowne Station. The information at the time was that they wandered off away from the property, and I can tell you that our officers got at the scene very quickly, and we were monitoring the situation and hopefully finding the children very soon after that.
So it's very quickly. Officers arrive, and then what? You expected, it sounds like you're saying, that you'd find the children quickly, or hoped you would anyways. That didn't happen.
So Kayla, what I can tell you, from experience, you look at missing children. I've been involved with a handful of cases since I've been with Strategic Communications. Most oftentimes, the children are located very quickly after officers arrive at the scene, right? And that's our hope every single time, that they wandered off and you can find the children. Because I'm sure, like every officer out there, I'm not on the road currently, but your heart is pounding, the adrenaline is rushing, you're trying to find those children, right?
This case started just like that?
That's
what you're
correct.
Describing, you thought you'd go there, find them very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And our officers were nearby in an ongoing search for a kayaker that had gone missing the day prior. I can tell you I was monitoring the situation remotely, and our officers, I could tell they were getting there as quickly as possible.
There are some, as you are aware, many theories out there. Some people think, well, maybe it's really just a tragic accident. Maybe they just wandered off into the woods. But you've said that it's suspicious. So at the very least, why does the RCMP view this case as suspicious?
So every missing person's investigation is suspicious until it's proven that it's not.
Man, he's got the most generic answers. But this is interesting because, so this is obviously the extended interview that they did that I mentioned in my last video. So this was done maybe June 18th, maybe June 17th, literally just before they announced that $150,000 reward. This is why I'm really surprised, they didn't wait to release this article and stuff a day later. Why didn't I do feel like this reward there's a reason why they did it, and it isn't because they just kind of are at a dead end. But again, that's just my theory. But this is interesting. This is clearly the extended version of her interview with him, which, when they showed it, on June 19th, it was literally a minute clip.
If we don't have that information to say that it's not suspicious, we have to continue to assume that it is suspicious and access those resources and tools and follow up those tips and find that evidence until we find the people that are missing.
So you don't think they were abducted, but you can't find them. How do 2 young children just vanish?
That's a great question, Kayla. And we are asking for the public for tips and information. And to date, we've received close to 500 tips. So we have to follow up on those tips, right? Whether it's a tip that indicates that there could be something that happened elsewhere in the province, elsewhere in the country, we have to follow up on those investigative tips to rule them out. And to this date, we haven't had any confirmed sightings.
But there have been tips that lead you to other parts of the country that you had to check.
As with any investigation, oftentimes we do get tips that you have to verify that are elsewhere, yes.
You have said that the children were last seen alive the day before. Can you tell me about the nature of that?
Oh, here we go.
So we know they were seen in public with loved ones the day prior. The specifics aren't being released at this time.
Okay.
So I think it was a mall, right? I'm sorry to interrupt this. Let me just snag up Lilly and Jack News. Yes, I think it was this one. And wait. Oh, what? Nope, not that one. It's the CBS, it's the CBC one. There we go. It's this one. It's this one. It's talking about the blanket. This is why it's interesting with these articles, because these articles follow up with the, the stories that they release, but there's always a little bit more in these. Did I just pass it up? I think it was at the top. Anyway, I'll go back. They mentioned a mall.
And so that's the day before, so that's May 1st. But you've specifically asked for video back to April 28th. What's the reason for that?
You know, when you establish a timeline for any investigation, you want to know where these individuals were prior. They may have been in contact with someone that you want to know who that person is. You may see something on that footage that you didn't know about prior to that. You know, we talked about license plates.
Yeah, eyes they did.
From a different angle. You might see someone that's known elsewhere. Maybe it's someone that's known to police. You never know. We really are seeking all investigative avenues in this case.
There have been some complaints that an Amber Alert was not issued. I understand that the criteria is very specific. Was that considered? Is it still possible?
Absolutely, Kayla. You know, on the day of the incident, I can tell you I was working. I reviewed the policy that morning. We have to have a suspect or a person of interest when it comes to abduction or a vehicle. You know, in terms of sending out an alert, when you send an Amber Alert, you want to direct the public to look for a specific vehicle, to look for that license plate, to look for that suspicious person, to have a...
I mean, usually a lot of Amber... I mean, that is true, but I do see both sides. Like, you know, when a kid goes missing, you know, the parents, you know, they want that Amber Alert, but, you know, it's a tough situation.
Photo of someone or more information to suggest that there was an abduction. In this case, you know, they are young children, certainly vulnerable people, and a vulnerable person alert was issued.
Does the RCMP know what happened here? Even if you can't tell me, do you know?
So what I can tell you is that we're exploring all investigative avenues.
Do you have a case? Are you building a specific case that's leading you in a certain direction?
In this case, the investigation is still being investigated under the Missing Persons Act.
It sort of seems from the last news release that you issued, the reason I'm asking these questions, I read that news release and I thought, I don't think they have any idea what happened here.
You know, when it comes to missing people, it's very complex. It can be very long-term investigations. It can be difficult on first responders, especially when it involves vulnerable people. And we have to be patient, and we have to follow the leads and follow the facts and evidence that we gather to bring us to locating the children.
Does the RCMP think Lilly and Jack could still be alive?
That's a great question, and we want to locate them and find them. And our goal is to investigate every single avenue until we find them.
Is it possible at this point?
That's a great question, and our role is to find them in the evidence surrounding their disappearance.
You mentioned a lot of the tips you're getting. I'm sure you're aware there's extraordinary public interest in this case. Some people are frustrated that the RCMP is not saying more. We understand it's an active investigation. And in some cases, the lack of information leads to speculation, and rumors are rampant online, and that's done some harm on the family in this case as well. What, though, would you say to the public who are begging for answers and just want to know what's happened here?
We have to be patient and certainly rely on our news releases and official sources of information. Don't listen to those rumors that are out there. We're putting out those news releases on a regular basis with information pertaining to the investigation. We have to be very cautious as to what type of information we release, because we want to make sure that it doesn't affect the investigation.
I think some people in the public are starting to wonder, is it possible that we may never find out what happened to Lilly and Jack? Is that possible?
I wouldn't be able to answer you that question today, but I can tell you that our investigators are seasoned. They are committed. I've worked with some of them personally prior in my career, and I can tell you that they are committed investigators to this missing children's investigation.
Man, he's good. He held his ground. I mean, he did. He can't really say a lot. Hey, Kiki. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. Right now, I'm just trying to make sure I'm getting my PC and the streams going well. We're getting content back out, but yeah. Just check a few chats here. Patty thinks foul play. That's possible. I really think I think more likely the CPS thing. That's my right now. My top theory is CPS was getting close and involved, and the mother panicked, and it just kind of went south. And then I think Daniel's still in love with Malaya and has been protecting her up to the last few days, where he's now kind of allegedly in chat kind of saying that she's on the run and she's behind all of this. So I don't know, very interesting, but that Darin guy, in a way I hope he's telling the truth, because that means the kids are alive, and they're not, eventually they'll be found, and hopefully things get worked out and these kids get placed in a good family that or maybe that whatever. But the fact that they'd be alive would just be amazing. Heather, whatever, a member for a year now. That's so awesome. God bless you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think that's about it. I'll do a pet outro before we go. Just want to make sure. And thank you to everybody. Cooper, thank you so much if you're still in the chat. And to everybody helping me again. Probably doing some makeup lives as we go. I know Siggy and Mike say, Chris, our RCMP keeps it serious, close to the vest. That's why they succeed. I hope they do. I really do. What was CPS on them for? Well, the very least that we could hear is that there was concerns at school, and even they said that that they were kind of behind in school. So I'm sure maybe it could be, them being behind in school, maybe the conditions at home, maybe some other things as well. And, maybe Malay was just in her right mind. Who knows? But time will tell. You got Mel. yeah, I need to get caught up on my emails and stuff. Be patient with me, but I do appreciate all my wonderful, lovely mods. Jocelyn, Copperhorse, Sensei D. I know Jennifer's sometimes in there in the background. God bless her. And Jazz, thank you so much. My mods are the best of the best. And then, of course, shout out to my members and Patreons. You guys are amazing. So I am going to do a pet outro. And then I will try to do another live tomorrow. And I know a lot of people are here because I do the Sebastian case. I am trying to, I want if I do a Sebastian show, I want to have some substance, because really there's not a lot going on in the Sebastian Rogers case. But there are some things you can point out because of that I would say are some giant red flags in my opinion. But again, I'm kind of hoping for some other side things to happen that I can maybe pull out. But for right now, we'll leave it there. Play pet outro, and we will see you guys mañana. Have a great rest of your day, night, morning. God bless you. I love you guys. Take care of yourselves.
Hold your breath and feel the tension. Devils hide behind redemption. Honesty is a one-way gate to hell. I wanna taste consumption. Breathe faster to waste oxygen. Hear the children sing aloud. It's music till the wick burns out. Be carefree lately, yeah. Just kicking up daisies. Got one too many quarters in my pockets. Counting like the 4-leaf clovers in my